We have to think about ourselves from a psychological perspective in terms of consumer behavior. And the regulations are there, and the regulations will only hold if consumers abide by it, right? So if you have an opportunity to give your information for a company to create something, whether it's an annual review of your year or custom products, the consumer is likely to do that. It's the really, beyond the sharing economy, it's the relevant economy. And if you look at it even further, all we want is personalization. We want personalized communication, but we don't want to give our data.
This is Horizons, stories about what's next in the world, powered by Compass Data Centers.
Digital footprint is, if you looked at all the different areas where you've gone, so from you started from the morning and clicked until the end of the day to see somewhat of your patterns, but then you pulled back a little bit and looked at it from where have I been from a pattern standpoint in the last year or 2 years. How am I, because it'll help to see, oh, you like cars, you like animals, you like education, you work here. These are things that are important to you. These are people you love. And I think you can do it with certain plugins where it can show your actual footprint and where you're being tracked. So then it's the choice of, I know where my footprint is, but I still want to go to those sites because I need to go to those sites. So do I need to change my footprint? And if everyone's getting tracked, what can I do about it? It could be any points, so if a company says, and how many times do we say, yes, give access to this, to see all my Facebook posts, to see that. So that's where it starts. I mean, you already have the base of information that you've shared out. Now you just connect with a different platform, and even if it is, see how old you look in 80 years or wherever it is, it's interesting, right? And then it goes, and then it starts trending, and you're like, well, I want to see what I look like when I'm 80. So once again, that paradox of don't take my data, but I want to use it when I want to use it. So it's kind of a have your cake and eat it too type of methodology. But I really, really think as we look along these lines, it is these massive algorithms, and every company has them because that's where the money is, right? If they can recommend something and they're so spot on, you're like, are they behind me? It's 1984, George Orwell, Big Brother, except the one component was that they didn't account for was us freely giving the data. Take it. I'm going on vacation. I'm going away. I'm depressed. I'm whatever it may be, and they're using it. I mean, with Facebook tracking, they can tell within 2 days if someone's depressed. And it's just based on behavioral, attitudinal, different movements, different selections. It's an absolute science. From a data perspective, you can look at it in a few different ways. Obviously, they're always looking for data to monetize. So you think about it from a standpoint of personal data, just average, demographic, psychographic information that you could get, age, income, all of that, to engagement. How engaged are you as a consumer? What category are you engaged in? When are you engaged in it? Why are you engaged in it? And then looking at really behavioral. I mean, behavioral targeting is huge. And you really, really look at it to understand psychology of a person, what they would react to, what they've done as patterns in their past, and what they would be more open to in terms of providing information. And then just attitudinal. How people feel about certain things. And all of this data is categorized, it's clustered, it's built into these mainframe algorithms to ensure that every time that we get online somewhere, the experience is more and more personalized. I think it started happening so long ago, so if you think about it even with 2005, right, when Facebook came in. Before that, there was AOL Messenger. And I think they stumbled upon the benefit of all of it. And I say that because when you look at the earlier years with social media platforms, and there was not an emphasis on getting your information. So even I say Twitter, 2007, all you had to do was pick a handle and go. But now, turn the clocks the last few years with TikTok, and you need to fill out an entire profile of every single thing. And guess who you are? You're a 10-year-old. You're an 11-year-old, you're a 12-year-old. They're grabbing you very, very early on to understand behaviors, to understand attitudinals, to understand what Gen A is looking for at this point. So from that standpoint, I think that they look at it very differently now, and they understand the monetization and the potential, and that's why the government has gotten involved in terms of What are we giving? What are we saying? What role does the government have? Because I think it was so new, they just kind of had it under the radar. It really didn't hit anywhere until all of a sudden privacy and lawsuits and issues started to really occur. If you look at how much it tracks, and for every company, so you look at some of the big companies that were always on, whether it's Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever it is, and you look at those platforms, and then you look at the brands that they work with and how the brands will utilize that. Do big brands have more access to better data, right, versus smaller brands, or smaller brands doing something more organic? So it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is not going away anytime soon. And as you consider the world that we have today, and more of the need to have personalization, but we're all by ourselves and we're tracking it. It's the definite paradox of this life of, I don't want to be tracked, but I'm not sure why I don't want to be tracked, because I'm not that informed. I have no idea what my money is, to moving towards, or what my data is worth, to moving towards all of a sudden data now. This could be my consulting gig. Like, how do I sell my data? How do I mentor others to say, this is your data worth? And guess what? We're gonna flip the tables on all the big companies and say, unless you pay me this, you're not getting it, and we're gonna block it out and do something tremendous. So, well, if you think about it, I mean, ads in any form, it's slightly being done now where you can have an ad. I mean, it's a field, right? You cross-match a field. So for years and years, when you would do any form of direct mailing, all of a sudden your name would be put in there. So that was the first level. Second level, even with universities. With universities, there's a way to integrate data into a video. So it says, Christian, come to Virginia Tech. Christian, here's your name on Lane Stadium. So they're embedding your name all over. And the student, the 18-year-old, was saying, they really want me. They know me. They've taken time to put my name. So I think it's that high touch, that it feels so customized, but that's in very small scale. And I think once it goes larger, it's going to depend on where your name is used and how it's used. Yeah, I mean, if you think of it, Surgeon General, whatever the case, years ago, cigarettes were cigarettes, right? And you even had, doctors prefer this cigarette over this cigarette kind of thing, And if you look at it, not really the US, but if you look at other countries with cigarettes and the pictures on the boxes of people with like black lungs, I mean, so that's, I think, different countries and how they put it out. I think the same thing will probably come through with social media and warning before you go on, or maybe included would be more apps for parents to track and say, your child just accessed this. This is a danger site. Or did you know your child has 10 online friends and no one knows who they are? So I think it's going to be more informing, parents being part of the process from a younger stage. If you had to look at it and you looked at, a photo book or something of your life and where you started and how you've grown and the different experiences you've had and what you give more time to, more pictures to, more attention to, how you share those, how they were shared in the past, how they're shared. I think it's your life, but it's your life in the highlight reel. I'll use that from a person who told me that, and I said, that's amazing, because it's your life, but it's the best life ever. It's not the real life most of the time. It's the life you want people to see. And that is something else in terms of the true digital footprint will show everything, and you can see where you've gone and moved and pivoted, etc. But now it used to just be consumer packaged goods or different platforms. Now it's for your life. Before anyone meets you for a job, they're going to look online for you, and they're probably going to look on LinkedIn, and they're probably going to use the SEO mechanism within LinkedIn to see where you rank based on your skill sets that have been endorsed or recommendations. So it continues to go on and on and on as it relates to all these different ways to control and understand and go back to the consumer with these insights, but in a comforting manner, not in a scary, we know this much about you.